Well, hello everyone. Al Rattan here, along with my co-host and good friend Chris Baker on another edition of the Raise Your Bars podcast. Chris, it's an incredible January Wednesday evening that we're recording this, and I heard it's a little bit cooler in Florida right now.
It's been a little bit cooler. It's up and down the weather at the moment, the temperature, and it's actually causing me issues with allergies. But it's funny. Like today, yeah, you noticed I have a jumper or a sweater, as known
Sweater.
in America. So
Yes.
yeah, very rarely wear that. But I was working in an office today, which I knew was going to be a little bit cooler, and I think one day next week we're going to be in the 40s, which is
Oh my
um,
goodness, heaven
yeah,
forbid.
very chilly for us, like
Heaven
single
forbid.
figures, single digits in
In
centigrade.
Canada, yeah, like in Celsius. So like if
Yeah,
I always like to compare for my American friends here who live in the South and how warm and cold it is. So right now, my friend, um, overnight tonight, we're gonna feel like minus 17 Fahrenheit. So
okay.
your
Borrow my
40s,
jumper.
your 40, that's 57 degrees warmer or
Yeah.
colder than what you're gonna experience next week in your 40s. So the sympathy, not really there. Anyways, um, oh man, it's so fun to poke fun at you. But yeah, I live in Canada, right? And we sometimes as Canadians we complain about the winter, but then we look at each other and go, well, we kind of choose to live here, so we don't
Exactly.
really have the right to complain, right?
Yeah, it's funny. It always makes me smile when people will say to it, "Well, you're so lucky to live in Florida, or you're so lucky to do this." And I say, actually, it was a choice, right? There was no luck involved in it. I
It has
didn't just
nothing
sort
to
of
do with it.
like put a blindfold on, spin round, and say, "Where am I going to live?" Right. So,
Right.
and that's the same with all of us, which really sort of brings us into the topic we're talking about tonight, because we do control our destiny. But human
Absolutely.
nature tends to think that it's down to luck, and it really isn't.
There is no such thing as luck. And like even somebody I was helping them sort of draft a little bit of a letter for an employee today, and they were laying them off, and they wrote a little letter and said,
Yeah,
you know, Um, I wish, I wish you luck in the future or something like that. It's like, no, why don't you say, best wishes for the future? Something like
right.
that. I hate that word luck, right?
Yeah, yeah,
There's no such thing as luck in my personal opinion. There's happy coincidences. There's, things that maybe don't go your way, which is
right.
a sad thing. But you're right. We do make the choices, and we make the choices in how we receive the things that happen to us as
Yeah,
well, right?
yeah.
And today, we're talking about, we're just taking another sort of a quote from a book here. Um, and and this quote, it says, Mark Twain reportedly said that the two greatest days in people's lives are the day they are born and the day they find out why. And you've done extensive studying and research and written about really finding your why and your purpose in life. And we haven't talked about that for, I would say, probably over a year on the podcast. But it does tie in
Yeah.
with our bars and choosing our destiny and walking into our destiny. Right? Your destiny
100%.
is
Yeah,
a possibility, but you have to take the action to make it come to pass.
exactly. You know, it's interesting because I was exactly that. You know, I was basically 50 years old when I really started identifying, or came into the awareness of understanding what your why is and what your purpose is. You know,
Hmm.
I've told the story before. It was in um, teams at Disney. We had I was in a finance area at the time, and they would send out like a weekly topic or a monthly topic to share in your team meetings. And this one that they sent out was Simon Sinek's Golden Circle.
Okay.
And it was just it was a 5-10 minute video, like clip from YouTube, that they said, "Hey, show this in your team meeting and just talk about it." And you know, I this was 2016, and I'd never really looked at that before, right?
Right.
I think I'd sort of effectively drifted and stumbled through life doing what I thought I was good at and that wanted to do, and realized at 50 years old, when I started looking into this, it's like, okay, let's highlight what it is that I've done that I enjoy, and why did I enjoy it? What have I done that I didn't enjoy, and why didn't I enjoy that? And then you
Yeah.
start connecting the dots to understand what's the pattern there and what's the trend.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then Simon Sinek walks you through like actually designing a why statement, which is what's the contribution you want to make and the impact you want it to have, basically.
Right, yeah.
And that's how I came up with mine. And then, it was like, okay, now like a light bulb went off in myself, and it was like, what can I do now? Right. I started teaching this within Disney, and I'd never really taught anything like that before. But we did what we call the lead power hours. So we offered it as a session, and we started helping um, explain to like areas how they can understand their why, and
Mm,
to
mhm,
individuals, how do you find your why, and how does it
mhm.
fit in with Disney's why? What is Disney's why? And then from there it was like, okay, now I need to do more with my life, right? It was like it was the like you're saying, the opportunities were always there, but I wasn't aware of them because I had my eyes down focusing on what I was doing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people fall into that trap of, we've talked about it before, the comfort zone, right? Nick Vujicic said something, because I think that the um, he says the biggest temptation, I believe, is to feel comfortable, to feel like you've worked through all that here on earth, and you're satisfied with this life. I think that's a problem for too many people who aren't as successful, productive, or fulfilled as they would like to be.
Yeah.
They mistakenly think they've worked through their issues, they've reached their capacity, and there's no new mountains to climb, and they settle. They settle. Actually, underline the words "they settle."
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of people that don't know their why,
Yeah.
don't know their purpose. And we're going to talk about purpose here in a minute too, because really it's the same thing, right? Your why, your
Pretty
purpose,
much.
I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it you just settle. You
Yeah.
get into that zone, and you're comfortable, and and maybe you're content. And if you're content, then great. But if there's that yearning inside of you that says, wait a minute, there's more to me. I have more to offer this world than what I'm putting out right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you and that's why we're doing this. That's why
Uh-huh.
we develop bars, because we realized in ourselves we had behaviors and actions we needed to change to get the results and success that we wanted in life. And
Mhm.
and now we've been really working on developing ourselves, finding our why, defining our purpose, defining our ideal client, and now working with these clients. Um, I fulfill I feel fulfilled. I also feel that there's more yet to come.
Right. Yeah, it sort of, again, it opens those possibilities, right? Or opens, let me rephrase that. It doesn't open the possibilities, they're there all the time. It opens your eyes to the
Too.
possibilities,
Yeah, that's
right?
so
So that it's that saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will come.
Mhm.
Right, or something along those
Will
lines. If
appear.
if
It
that's
will
not a
appear.
saying, then it is now, we've just created it. But it's
Yeah,
it's the truth, right?
it
If
is.
you
Yeah.
if you're not looking for it, there could be a whole line of teachers that go, "Oh, I see so much potentially, I want to show you." But if you're not ready to receive that,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter,
Well,
right?
I'll
And
tell
that
you, it's the same thing, and you used the example before, right? That, if you go out and buy a brand new red Mustang convertible, guess what? You start seeing red Mustang or red
right,
convertibles everywhere you look,
right,
right? It's just but it's now on the top of your awareness,
yeah,
because it's now something you want. So, in this book, and we're taking it from the book, John Maxwell's book, No Limits. He says part of the process of fulfilling your purpose, listen to this, folks, is becoming aware of the things you can't change that limit you,
mhm,
so that you can direct your attention towards the things that you can maximize to increase your
yeah,
capacity in that area.
yeah, huge.
So what are your thoughts around that?
So again, I think we've done a lesson on this, and certainly I think I've done a podcast on it before we were doing ours together, where I talked about control the controllable and let everything else go,
Mm,
right?
mhm.
And it's something that is really, well, it's always valid, right? Because people stress
Right.
over the craziest of things. They'll stress
Yep.
about the weather, right?
Mhm.
It's too hot, it's too cold, it's too dry, it's too wet, right?
Mhm.
Whatever. They're always looking for, or that it seems to be, people in general, not everybody, are looking for like excuses why they can't do something instead of reasons why they can, right?
Right.
And I think what happens is that we, as humans, we don't. we want to protect ourselves, we want to protect others, so that's where we tend to settle in that comfort zone, right? Because moving outside of that, it can be scary, and it can be, um, you're basically vulnerable when you move outside
Right.
of there.
Of course. Yeah.
And so when people stress, they're basically worrying about things that they can't control, because if they could control it, they'd do something about it,
Hmm.
right? And if they did something about it, then they wouldn't have to stress about it because they're making a difference.
Exactly.
So we spend too much time focusing on what we can't do, and not enough time of thinking about, okay, I can't do of that, but what can I do? Right?
Yeah.
How can I make a difference? How can I earn more money? Or how can I find more enjoyment? Or how can I get fitter or whatever?
Right.
That's the key. Really is.
It really is. And, like I always think it's funny, right? It's like I always say, oh man, it'd be nice to play the piano, right? Not that I can't do that. I could do it
Yeah,
if I wanted to, but I don't really
yeah,
want to bad enough because it is a cap, self-imposed cap on that I'm putting on
right.
myself really in this case, but because I have priorities in other areas, right? I'd
Yeah,
for me, I'll spend my time reading books or writing lessons with you, writing curriculum, helping our clients, right? All
yeah,
this other stuff. I can't focus on that. I don't have the margin in my calendar to focus on
yeah.
something like that right now, too. So I think this comes down to like, yes, recognizing that maybe I'm not good or gifted in a certain area, but also recognizing that that is not necessarily a priority in my life right
Right.
now, or that if I make that a priority, it's gonna take away from something over here that I am really passionate about and
Yeah,
excited that I'm doing. And
yeah.
I think that, again, it all comes down to this awareness of what we are doing, where we're gonna prioritize our time, where we're gonna and what we feel our purpose is. And I know that you and I working together, I think we could both agree that we're fulfilling our purpose in life, at least
Mhm.
for this season of our life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you hit the nail on the head there, really, is what means the most to you, right?
Mhm.
And if, again, in my book, I talk about, or I talked about how I used to be what I would call a 5-minute wonders, right? Where I'd start to do something, I'd be pretty good at it, but after a while I'd get to a point and I'd go, oh, now I've got to work harder at it,
Mhm.
and it doesn't really mean enough to me, so I'd quit and I'd go and do something else, right? um
Right.
doesn't mean I couldn't have done it, because I'm sure I can, because I truly believe, again, that we can achieve anything we put our minds to,
Absolutely.
if it means enough to us, right?
Mhm.
So the whole point of understanding your why and your purpose is identifying, along with your values exercise, but what means the most to you,
Right.
right? And Napoleon Hill talked about it really in Think and Grow Rich, which is where we met, when we talk about desire, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, everything starts with desire, and that
Mhm.
that thing has got to be a white hot burning desire, because otherwise, the first sign of adversity or obstacles or trouble, you'll quit and you'll go and do something else, right? That's human nature.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
identify what it is that's important to you. Why is it important? What difference will it make to your life? And then prioritize it and schedule it. You've only
Mhm.
got so much time, right? You only got so many waking hours, and part of that you got to be at work. Part of it you really should be with your significant other or your kids or whatever, and socializing. So
Right.
when you prioritize and then schedule, how much time have you really got, and how are you going to use that time most effectively? And
Yeah.
that's where you need to look at what is it that's going to give you the greatest return in that time.
Yeah, and I think that's really good too. Like, I mean, I really like this book. It's called No Limits. Again, folks, if I didn't tell you that, by John Maxwell. And he talks it really about all these different capacities that we allow to affect us in our life. And I think a lot of us have put this capacity on ourselves of limiting our belief in ourselves or the value we can contribute to society, our loved ones, our workplace. And, and I could, I can honestly say, Chris, there's been jobs I've drifted through in the past and just put in the time,
Yeah.
and then there's been jobs that challenged me and that I've really enjoyed it excites me getting up in the morning and going out and doing the work and training and developing other teams and working with people is one of those things that energizes me. And I hate the fact that I sometimes I'm drifting a little bit off topic here, but I think one of the caps that I've allowed myself to or have put on myself in the past and maybe even a little bit recently is the cap of focusing too much maybe on the past. And I don't know if that's not in the book here, but I'm just saying like I've because of regrets or missteps maybe that I have about things in the past, I've put this cap on myself that maybe I'm not capable,
Mhm.
or I'm not deserving of more.
Right. And again, we touched on that last week. Most weeks probably we talk about the windshield and the rearview mirror,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
and there's also that sort of paralysis by analysis where people they get paralyzed by trying to analyze what's gone on in the past instead of just like accepting some of it as, hey, it wasn't in my control. So what was in my control? How can I change that? And how can I move forward?
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And if we do that, I honestly believe there'll be a whole lot less stress in the world. That people will be a lot healthier because stress causes health issues,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Which in turn causes financial troubles, relationship troubles. It's just a downward spiral.
Hmm.
So yeah, review the past, reflect on the past by all means. You need to do that, otherwise you're not learning.
Right.
But then look forward and control the controllable and make a difference to yourself and to others with a purpose.
Exactly. Exactly. And John says in the book here, says we all put caps on ourselves, but we don't have to leave them in place. Right. And again, even for folks, I mean, Chris and I are works in progress, just like everybody else. Nobody's
Yeah,
perfect, right? We all
yeah,
have baggage, right? And sometimes we just need to like stop, let it go, right? Let it go,
yeah.
put it aside, put in the past, realize, okay, maybe I tried this and I failed. Okay, great. What did I learn through it? What can I go out and work on now and work towards success in?
Yeah.
And we've been vulnerable on this podcast before, right? We started the bars method and we thought everybody and their dog would want to buy our program.
Mhm.
Well, guess what? They didn't. Did we give up? No. Could we have allowed that to be a cap we put on ourselves? Could we maybe have
Oh,
questioned our purpose? We could have, and we probably did a little bit, but we really feel that this is the direction we're supposed to go.
yeah.
It feels right. It feels like it's our purpose and it energizes us. And I'm not going to look in the rearview mirror. Chris and I are both talking. We've talked even at the last podcast 2023. The anticipation for 2024 is, you know, is it we're anticipating great things. And you should too.
Mhm.
Don't allow what the economists are saying to be a cap on your potential for 2024. Go out and make your own, create your own destiny.
Well, I think I want an important thing just to elaborate on was you mentioned the word perfect, right, and perfection.
Mhm.
And I describe myself as self-proclaimed recovering perfectionist because I always wanted to strive for perfection, right? And
Right.
that's where I think a lot of people get hung up, and I got hung up because I was always looking back and saying, "Why didn't I do that? Why wasn't I perfect?" Well,
Mhm.
guess what? Perfection doesn't exist. And
No.
how do I know that? Well, because our new level of awareness and the growth that we've had over the last 6, 7 years together and individually
Right.
is that I know that we are always improving,
Mhm.
right? And we're striving for continuous improvement. And therefore, if we're striving for continuous improvement, by proxy, perfection can't exist because perfection means that's it.
We've
There is
arrived.
nothing more, right? And that really is it is non-existent, right?
Exactly.
Unless you put the
Why do we
cap,
put that pressure on it? We're getting a little off topic. Why are we putting that pressure on ourselves
right?
to strive for perfection when we know it's not attainable?
Correct.
But what do you say then?
Yeah.
Don't strive for perfection, strive for
Excellence.
excellence.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
exactly what we should be doing. And it's funny, I won't share the whole story, but there was a conversation I was having with Vicky and my stepdaughter Caitlin, and we were talking about they were joking and making these sort of jokes about um how they would be quite happy sort of living what they called a sedentary life of mediocrity, right, where they could lie and read and just relax and do this. And so I said, yeah, okay. So I elaborated on that, and I said, okay, so I sort of used an acronym and said that's a slom, right? SLOM. I said I'm going to be an aloe, an ALOE. And they said, what's that? I said I'm going to live an active life of excellence.
Oh, that's good.
And that it's interesting because you've got that choice,
Right.
right? You can drift and settle,
Yeah.
or you can say, "Hey, what did I learn, and what's ahead of me, and how can I make a difference, right? And it's that we talked, I think it was last week, about scarcity and abundance, right? And I
Mhm.
see it as the same thing.
Yeah,
I see settling as a scarcity mindset. I see abundance as living that active life where you're striving for excellence.
right.
So, folks, it's your choice.
It really is. It really is. And I want to, I guess a challenge this week. And one thing, I'll throw something out and you throw something out as well, Chris. But challenge this week is maybe look at yourself and what self-imposed caps have you put on your own life and your own potential? And,
Yeah,
and do you really know what your purpose is? Man,
yeah,
because we want what's best for you. I mean, we do this,
absolutely.
we want everybody that, that we come into contact with to thrive and prosper in this life.
Yeah,
And doesn't mean there's not going to be bumps in the road and pains and hurts and
yeah,
trials, but the same thing is those are temporary.
yeah. And to build on that, I think if you do the, and again, we'll throw these challenges out. We'll set these tasks. It's up to you whether you do them or not, right? We're not making you. It doesn't make any difference to us, other than
No,
we
no.
hope that you do, because we'd like to influence and impact your lives in a positive way. But
Mm,
when you do your reflection and you look at it, start to think: am I worrying about things that were out of my control?
yeah,
And when you look at the reflection and you look at things that didn't go right, and you look at things that did go right, what did you do, or what could you have done to make those even better?
yeah,
Right.
that's good.
And
That's good.
then build your future based on those actions, that your behaviors and actions there that are going to generate those results and successes
Yeah,
that you're looking for.
yeah,
Right. And the behaviors and actions that led to the things that didn't go so well, change them.
change them. Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. Hey, everyone. I hope you got some value out of this. And don't forget, you can find us on social media. You can search out Raise Your Bars on Facebook. And we have a Legacy Creators group, which is for men 40 years and older. We have our Profit Accelerator group, which is for business owners, helping them grow their bottom line profits by 6 and 7 figures. And then we have our Personal Growth Solutions page for those that just want to connect with us on Facebook. So please
Mm.
do that. And yeah, if you got some value from this, please share it with friends, family, coworkers. We would be eternally grateful for that. Go out and have an incredible week. Thank you for tuning in. Take care, everyone.
Yeah. Bye for now.